now we got the 2 line, which you guys should know by now that there really isn't any point to doing this, like I've stated plenty of times before, but it's always good to go down memory lane. But at the same time, you guys should know by now that the 2 and the 5 both use the same equipment, which is 142s. That's it. And they can't change because of the strip maps. So, yeah. So, 2 train, once again. But, yeah. Don't worry, the whole uploading frenzy, the re-uploading, re-editing frenzy will soon come to a close. It's almost done. Just sailing through. This is the 2 train. Why am I doing this? Now the 2 train starts all the way up in the Bronx at Wakefield 241st Street and travels down to East 180th Street, meeting up with the 5 train. From there the 2 head on over to 149th Street Grand Concourse, where the 5 switches off, leaving the 2 to run on its own. After that, the 2 gets into Manhattan and switches over into 135th Street, meeting up with the 3. Together they go over to 96th Street, meeting up with the 1 train. Now the 2 and the 3 are both on the express tracks flying down 7th Avenue to Chambers Street. Now the 2 and the 3 both split up with the 1 and move on down to Clark Street 2. After coming out, the 2 and the 3 meet up with the 4 and the 5 once again at BOROUGH Hall in Brooklyn. The 4 move on to Franklin Avenue, with this time the 2 and the 3 being on the local track and the 4 and the 5 being on the express track. Now the thing here is that the 2 and the 5 split with the 3 and the 4 and go down on their own path to Flatbush Avenue, Brooklyn College, that being their last stop. Now the equipment for the 2s is just R142s. Now there's quite a number of things to say about this line. My main problem is there's too many people crowding the 2. Yeah, it's IRT, but damn, I didn't think it would be this bad. Oh yeah, we didn't even get to Lexington yet. Anyway, this train goes through some bad areas, such as the Bronx in general and Flatbush, Brooklyn, which is why you gotta keep a sharp eye when riding the 2 train at night. Now the 2 train at night is a dead-on local train, so going all the way to Wakefield will be a trip. It feels like the C train, but boring. Waiting for a 2 train on the overnight is an average of between 18 to 20 minutes. Just look at that display. Now the 2 train is a well-respected line to most rail fans. And no, not because of the trains it has now, but because of the Redbirds. They can talk about it until the end of time. It's like Family Guy when Stewie took a trip to Nebraska.
I thoroughly enjoyed my trip to Nebraska. So, anybody see any good movies lately?
Not really, no.
Oh. Read any good books?
Nope.
No. Nope. Anything new with corn?
Oh yeah, corn.
Corn.
Oh yeah,
corn. You bet.
Corn. Yeah.
Corn is always interesting.
Just take the word corn and replace it with Redbird and watch what happens. Now the 2 has been the train to have 12 9s all over the place lately. It's like passengers have a vendetta against the 2 train. Seriously people, stop doing that shit. It's starting to become an everyday thing now. In my opinion, the 2 in general is a shadow of its former self because the Redbirds are the trains for the 2 line. Foamers can agree with me on that too. As soon as their last Redbird left, the 2 train died along with it. Yeah, the Redbirds were falling apart, but damn, service didn't have to go along with it. But that's what happens to most of the trains on IRT. It's sad to say, but that's what it is now. Now the 2 for the most part has used most, if not all, the IRT equipment. If the MTA put all the Redbird work trains together and made a whole 2 train go in service for an emergency or a trip, then that would be completely badass in all types of ways. Now recently they had R62As on the 2 from 96th Street to Flatbush Avenue. In my opinion, I think the 2 should keep some R62As. Between the 2 and the 5. Now I've spoken to Adam about this and we think it's more smarter to put the R62As from the 7 onto the 2 and the 5. That way there's no complaints. Now the 2 train in general isn't so bad, but it is one of the lines that needs to step its game up. Now I have to admit, the 2 train pulls its weight. And most of the time on the 2 train, you have more passengers due to the fact that it goes to the top of the Bronx. Besides, the 2 train has a pretty good crew on the job. Like I said before, the 2 with Redbirds was the actual 2 train. But seeing it with R62As or even with an R62 would be just as nice. With that said, I'll give the 2 train a 7 out of 10. Nowadays, the 2 is just your average train. Trust me when I say that the 2 with another car type than an R142 would turn some heads. So with that said, this is Knuckles of the Super Subway Brothers. You guys have a great night, and thank you for watching.